Hey everyone, and welcome back to the True Alien Podcast. I'm Adrian Smith, and with me today is Julia Jones.
Hey, listeners.
We are so excited to bring you another paranormal probe.
Yeah.
And, each day on this show, we like to kind of dive into a news story
Yeah.
about aliens, abductions, UFOs, Bigfoot.
You name it.
If it's weird, wild, and unexplained, we're here to unpack it.
And we do it all with a healthy dose of humor because who says the search for truth can't be fun?
Right. We want to know, is it fact or is it fiction? And today we're tackling the case of the Diamond Sky.
Ooh.
It's a story that combines UFO sightings with potential government cover-ups and even hints at the possibility of interdimensional travel.
Sounds wild.
Are you ready to go down this rabbit hole with us?
Absolutely. We're looking into the experience of a journalist who's haunted by vivid nightmares.
Oh, wow.
Decades-old UFO mystery and a top-secret government project called Lodestone.
Okay, so let's set the scene. It's 1980 in the Piney Woods of Texas. 3 witnesses are driving down a dark road when they encounter a diamond-shaped object hovering in the sky. And we're not talking about some blurry light in the distance. This thing was close enough to cause some serious and lasting health problems.
That's right. We're talking radiation burns and neurological issues. This wasn't just a fleeting glimpse of something strange. It had a tangible impact on their lives.
And as you might expect, the government was quick to deny any involvement.
Of course.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Fast forward a few decades, and Sarah Ellis, a journalist, stumbles upon this cold case. What's fascinating is that Sarah starts having these incredibly vivid nightmares, dreams, that seem to connect her to that night in the Piney Woods.
Interesting. So this is where things take a turn from a straightforward UFO sighting to something a little more unsettling. These nightmares aren't just random dreams. They're filled with specific details that Sarah finds eerily familiar even though she wasn't there that night.
Right. Sarah felt like these nightmares were more than just dreams. They were like pieces of a puzzle she was meant to solve. So being the intrepid journalist, she starts digging, and her investigation leads her to the name Dr. Nathaniel Gray, a physicist who consulted on the Piney Woods Incident back in the 80s. But there's a catch. Most of Dr. Gray's work for the government was classified top-secret stuff.
That's right. Dr. Gray's work focused on what were officially termed anomalies, which could include anything from unexplained energy sources to potential UFO encounters. This is where Project Lodestone comes into play. It was a clandestine government initiative tasked with studying and potentially harnessing these anomalies.
So Sarah tracks Dr. Gray down to a secluded cottage. Imagine that decades later, and this event still looms large in his life.
Oh.
He's clearly hesitant to discuss the past. Who could blame him?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to talk about it either.
Right.
But then Sarah reveals her nightmares to Dr. Gray. She describes the details, the emotions, a strange sense of dread, and something about her story. Those specific details compels Dr. Gray to open up.
And here's where we take a sharp turn into conspiracy territory. Dr. Gray reveals that Project Lodestone wasn't just passively studying these anomalies, they were actively experimenting with them, trying to tap into unknown energy sources. And he believes that the Piney Woods incident wasn't just a random encounter, it was a catastrophic experiment gone wrong.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Dr. Gray believes they were attempting to access some kind of interdimensional energy source, and they inadvertently created a tear in the fabric of reality. It's a mind-boggling concept, and it sounds like something straight out of science fiction, but Dr. Gray presents it as a terrifying reality.
And of course, the government swooped in, covered everything up, and blacklisted everyone involved.
Classic.
They were determined to keep this incident and whatever they unleashed under wraps.
It's a classic cover-up scenario, but with potentially universe-altering stakes. Now we have Sarah, a journalist with a personal connection to this event she can't explain, and Dr. Gray, a man burdened with a dark secret, and they both realize they've stumbled onto something the government doesn't want exposed.
And just as things are getting good, boom, government agents burst in. These aren't your friendly neighborhood FBI agents either. These guys are all about silencing loose ends permanently.
Yeah, the situation gets real very quickly. They start talking about tying up loose ends, and both Sarah and Dr. Gray realize they're in serious danger. Their lives are on the line, and they know it. So here they are, a journalist with unsettlingly vivid nightmares and a physicist harboring a world-altering secret. They're facing down men in black who clearly aren't there to offer them a cup of tea. Talk about high stakes.
It sounds like something straight out of a spy thriller. But these aren't fictional characters. This is a real journalist and a real physicist who've stumbled onto something truly unsettling. What happens next?
Well, Sarah, being the resourceful journalist she is, manages to grab a heavy candlestick and, let's just say, convince one of the agents to take a little nap.
Wow, she doesn't mess around.
Not at all. And Dr. Gray, perhaps feeling a surge of adrenaline or maybe just plain fed up, pulls out a hidden revolver and starts firing. Clearly, he's not going down without a fight.
Whoa, this just took a wild turn. So they managed to escape.
They do. It's a chaotic scramble, but they use the confusion to their advantage and make a run for it, disappearing into the darkness of Piney Woods.
I bet those woods felt extra creepy with government agents on their trail.
Absolutely. They know they can't just run and hide forever, though. They have to find answers, and the only way to do that is to go back to the source, the site of the Piney Woods incident.
But wouldn't that be incredibly dangerous? I mean, if the government is trying to cover this up, going back to the scene of the crime seems like a surefire way to get caught.
It is a huge risk, but they're driven by a need to understand, to uncover the truth. Sarah is desperate to make sense of her nightmares, and Dr. Gray, burdened by guilt and a desire to set things right, is determined to confront the consequences of Project Lodestone's actions.
So they're not just running from the government, they're running towards the unknown. What happens when they reach the site of the incident?
Imagine this. They're deep in the Piney Woods, the atmosphere heavy with humidity, and the feeling of being watched. They're following Dr. Gray's fragmented memories and some old surveying equipment, guided by instinct and a desperate hope for answers. And as they get closer, Sarah starts to recognize that eerie hum from her nightmares. It's faint at first, but it grows stronger, vibrating through the air, through the ground, through her very being.
That sends chills down my spine just thinking about it.
It must have been terrifying. They finally reach a clearing, and there, half buried in the earth, is a rusted metal hatch. It's a blast door. Dr. Gray explains, designed to contain something powerful, something they couldn't control.
This sounds like the entrance to a secret underground bunker or something. What's behind that door?
Well, remember how Dr. Gray mentioned tearing a hole in reality? What they find behind that blast door might be the key to understanding exactly what he meant.
Okay, now I'm really on the edge of my seat.
Picture this. They descend into the darkness, the air thick with the smell of ozone and the metallic tang of rust. The humming sound intensifies, becoming a pulsating rhythm that seems to reverberate in their chests. The atmosphere is oppressive, heavy with an unseen energy. And at the center of this subterranean chamber, they find a sphere.
A sphere? Like a spaceship? Are we talking aliens now?
Not quite. This isn't your typical flying saucer. This sphere shimmers with an ethereal, otherworldly light. It pulsates with a power that seems to defy the laws of physics, as if it's a window into another dimension.
Whoa, that's incredible. It sounds like something straight out of science fiction. So this sphere, this interdimensional window, is what caused the Piney Woods incident. Is this what Dr. Gray and his team unleashed?
It certainly seems that way. And here's where Sarah's nightmares come full circle. The fiery eye she sees in her dreams, the sensation of being stretched and observed by something vast and unknowable, it all points to the sphere, this rip in the fabric of reality.
This is absolutely mind-blowing. But it also raises so many questions. What is this sphere? Where did it come from? And what does it want? So we left off with Sarah and Dr. Gray face-to-face with this pulsating sphere of energy, this potential tear in reality. It sounds like something straight out of a science fiction film. But Dr. Gray is convinced that this is the result of Project Lodestone's reckless experiments.
It's a truly unsettling situation. They're trapped underground with a force they don't understand, and they know government agents are closing in, determined to silence them.
So what do? Do they try to contain the sphere, destroy it, or is it something beyond human control?
Well, as they stand there, mesmerized and terrified, Dr. Gray starts to piece things together. He recalls some of the theoretical research from Project Lodestone theories about alternate dimensions, about energy sources beyond human comprehension. He begins to speculate that this sphere isn't malevolent, not in the traditional sense. He suggests it's more like a force of nature, something operating on a level we can't grasp.
So like a hurricane or an earthquake?
Yeah.
Powerful and potentially destructive, but not inherently evil?
Exactly. And here's where it gets even more intriguing. Dr. Gray proposes the sphere isn't trying to harm us, it's trying to communicate. He believes those vivid nightmares Sarah has been having, the visions, the sense of dread, those are attempts by the sphere to reach out, to bridge the gap between our reality and whatever lies beyond.
Wow, that's a fascinating concept. So it's not an alien invasion, it's a cosmic conversation.
That's Dr. Gray's theory, and Sarah, drawn to the sphere and her connection to it, starts to consider it as well. They spend hours in that chamber, observing the sphere, attempting to decipher its patterns, its pulsations. They even try to communicate with it using some of the old lodestone equipment.
Do they get any response? Do they make contact with whatever's on the other side?
Our sources are a bit unclear on that point. They simply mention that Sarah experiences a profound sense of connection, of understanding during her attempts to interact with the sphere. Whether that was genuine communication or a subjective experience remains a mystery.
I can only imagine what that must have felt like to tap into a cosmic consciousness, to glimpse the secrets of the universe.
Yeah.
But it must have been terrifying, too, knowing those government agents were still out there closing in.
Absolutely. The tension continues to build as time runs out. They have to make a decision, try to contain the sphere, destroy it, or risk it falling into the wrong hands. But what can they possibly do? This isn't a situation with clear-cut answers.
It's a classic dilemma, knowledge versus power, understanding versus control. Do our sources tell us what ultimately happened?
Unfortunately, no. The trail runs cold here. We have no further information about Sarah Dr. Gray or the sphere. The incident remains shrouded in mystery.
So what are we left with? What can we take away from this paranormal probe?
I think the power of this story lies in the questions it raises. What if some events are simply unexplainable? What if there are forces at work in the universe that we can't even begin to comprehend? What if those forces are attempting to communicate and we're just not equipped to understand?
It certainly challenges our perceptions of reality and what we think is possible. It suggests that the universe is a vast and mysterious place, and we've only just scratched the surface of its secrets.
That's the beauty of exploring the unknown. It forces us to question our assumptions, to expand our understanding of what's out there.
Well, there you have it, folks. The Case of the Diamond Sky, a story of UFOs, government cover-ups, cosmic horror, and the enduring power of the unexplained.
It's a reminder that there's still so much we don't know about our universe. Perhaps some mysteries are better left unsolved, but the pursuit of knowledge, the quest to understand, that's what drives us.
And that's what the True Alien Podcast is all about. Thanks for joining us on this paranormal probe. Don't forget to rate and follow the show for more true alien stories. Until next time, keep looking up.